Welcome to the Compliance Officer's Playbook podcast. We are jumping straight into a really critical deep dive today. We're focusing on the legislative changes from the new Statutes Amendment Bill. It passed its final reading on November 20, 2025, and our mission really is to zero in on what this means for you. Specifically, we're looking at the big shifts in two acts, the AML-CFT Act and the Credit Contracts and Consumer Finance Act, the CCCFA.
Yeah, and if you had to boil this whole thing down to just one core idea, it's this. The government is basically retiring the old checkbox approach to compliance.
To tick a box exercise.
Exactly. And they're moving towards a genuine risk-based approach. The biggest sign of this, they've removed the mandate for address verification for standard customer due diligence, and that's a huge philosophical pivot.
That is a perfect place to start, so let's dedicate our first segment to that alone. Address verification, for decades, it's been the regulatory crutch, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
If you didn't have that utility bill or bank statement, you were just stuck.
Right.
What does the amendment actually say now about standard CDD?
Well, the change is pretty definitive. It explicitly says address verification is no longer a mandatory requirement for your standard everyday CDD.
Okay, so it's not completely gone.
No, it's now reserved mostly for enhanced customer due diligence, ECDD, where the risk profile is higher and you need to dig deeper. The government's goal, how they put it, is to make the system more proportionate.
Matching the burden to the actual risk.
You got it.
On the face of it, that sounds like a big win for efficiency. But let's talk about the social impact first. That financial inclusion angle. We all know how rigid compliance can create barriers.
Right.
So who really benefits from dropping this?
It's a game changer for people who are, say, digitally native or just don't have a fixed address in the traditional sense.
So like a young person moving out for the first time.
Exactly. They have their ID, sure, but the utility bill is in their flatmate's name. Or think about new immigrants or people who use digital-only services and never get a paper statement. Before, their simple, low-risk need for a basic bank account was completely stalled just because they couldn't produce that one piece of paper. This just streamlines everything for legitimate customers.
That's a really compelling point, but okay, let's add some friction here, because I know compliance officers listening will be feeling a sense of loss.
Of course.
That address wasn't just bureaucracy. It was an anchor. When law enforcement investigated a network, that address linked a person to a place, to assets, to other people.
And you're right, that anchor is now gone. Or at least it's not guaranteed to be there. And that is the central trade-off.
So what are we trading it for?
We're trading a simple, static data point for much more complex dynamic monitoring. The focus has to shift entirely.
From what, Cool?
From historical documents to real-time behavior. Your teams now have to rely so much more on pattern recognition, on transaction monitoring, on IP login data, and on escalating things quickly when a profile deviates.
So the challenge is balancing that inclusivity with making sure the safeguards are still strong. Different.
That's the tightrope, yes. It requires a complete overhaul of how you even think about risk assessment internally.
So an auditor comes in next year. They're not looking for the utility bill in the file anymore.
No.
They're going to be asking about the effectiveness of your behavioral detection models. The burden shifts from a filing cabinet to your tech intelligence.
That's it, exactly. The audit trail is now all about how effective your ongoing due diligence program is. How are you training your models? How are you validating your risk scores? It's not about adherence anymore, it's about performance. If you're loving this conversation and want to be part of keeping it going, the best way to support the show is to become a paid subscriber on Apple Podcasts. You'll get access to the full episode, plus every deep dive we do. Head to Apple Podcasts, search Compliance Officer's Playbook, and join our growing community today. Invite listeners who love this show to become a paid subscriber today for $5 USD, and get full access to all premium episodes packed with insights, stories, and value they won't find anywhere else. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive.